We used to be roommates, and he used to sexile me all the time. No American women, only foreign women.
Yeah, that's true.
There was the time when I was waiting outside the door for you guys to finish, and then you told me it was okay to come in, and I came in with this delicious pumpkin pie. You proceeded to get out of bed, completely naked, and walk over with this hand that God knows where it had been or what was on it, and just scoop it right into the pie and grab a piece out. What we just said sort of defines our personalities. You said, which wine do you like better? And I said, I like the sharecroppers because it's drier. And you said, I like the jigsaw because it's fruitier.
But
we must have a high tolerance for chaos. Learn to embrace the flow.
Forgive all that we can't forget. Regret nothing we can't let go. For despite what we have learned, infinitely more we do not know.
So let us tune our frequencies
Until new vibrations grow. Let's pretend that it never ends.
And now, it's time to start the show.
Welcome to the Opus Marcus podcast. I am your host, Marcus Aurelius. You are the audience for whom the bells toll, and this is episode 13. Let's do a quick 5-minute check-in with Brother Michael.
so I just pick up my dry cleaning. You know, I pay. You know, when I drop off, I pay. You know what I mean? Just so I can come, pick my shit up and not have. It's done. It's paid for. So today I'm dropping off more, right? And it comes to $10.15. Now I don't really like to carry change on me because I always lose it, right? I take my change and I throw it in a little jar. So I'm like, 10.15. I'm like, nah, man, I don't have any change on me. How about 10? And he's like, how about 10.15? I just look at him. I'm like, seriously? I was like, dude, I'll get you up. I'll get you when I come back. I'm like, I'm not going to take a whole bunch of change from you that I'm going to lose. You know what I mean? I just thought that was a little rude of the guy. You know what I mean? How you doing, buddy? If you're running a business, you flat out just say, hey, no problem, man. I'll see you when you come pick up the shirts. Lesson to all you people out there. Customer service is key. Mike out. Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have a lizard in my sink. Nobody knows where it came from. Do you know where it came from?
I have no idea.
Well, there is a lizard in our sink. I do have a picture. You guys are definitely going to want to check this shit out on the website. Fucking cool. I don't know what I'm going to do with him yet, but we're going to put a plan together.
Yeah, you gotta do something.
Aside from the lizard that is clearly in my sink, something really weird happened to me today with my roommate. I get done at the gym and I order my Uber, right? And my Uber pulls up and then the window goes down and it's my roommate. He's getting dropped off at the gym. He's like, he got a notification on his phone about another rider joining the Uber, and it had my name, Michael. And he's just like, I knew it was you. And, come on, what are the chances and the timing that I order the Uber to go home that he's in that drops him off? Crazy. And I come home and I have a lizard in my sink. Go figure. Not even a full moon.
Love me, we're best friends like friends should be. With a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too?
So I was walking to the office, and
What, you sitting out of the fucking can?
he was literally sitting on the little couches outside the office. And I was like, is that Josiah? I was like, yeah, that's Josiah. You know what I mean? You could tell by the aura. And then he turned his head and I saw the forehead tattoo. I was like, yo, what's up, dog? So I slapped him on the back. I didn't say anything to him. I went in and grabbed my mail. And then I came out and I was talking to him. I'm like, yo, my bad for the other night, man, but you know what I mean? Like, we can't let you in. You're knocking on a window and shit. We can't let you in here. We get kicked out, you know? And he's like, no, it's okay, man. And then I started to walk away. He's like, yo, and I turned around, and he gives, that look when somebody's about to ask you for something. And his is so much more obvious, you know what I mean? He's like, I'm like, spit it out, bro. And he's like, listen, man, I got a flight to Cleveland tomorrow, and I'm gonna take the bus, and it's only 2 buses, this, that, the other. I'm like, alright, so what's up, dude? He's like, I hate to, panhandle on you and everything like that. And I'm like, he's like, but do you think maybe you can help me out? I'm like, yeah, man, follow me back to the crib. You know what I mean? Like, he was so happy. I never seen the dude jump up so fast. Followed me like a little puppy dog, you know what I mean? And I gave him $5. So that's $10 I've given out in goodwill towards people. You know what I mean? So I give back, bro. I gave him $5 and they gave that chick outside the Dunkin' Donuts $5. Now he probably went and bought beer or something with the $5. I know for damn sure he didn't get no bus ticket to the fucking the airport to fly back to Cleveland. You know what I mean? Like, I should be like, yo, where's the plane ticket, motherfucker? Yeah, he said he had a flight back to Cleveland in the morning. And I'm like, I should have been like, where's your plane ticket, bitch? Nonetheless, yeah. So he got $5 from me, then that fucking chick who fucking first wanted a coffee, and then I'm like, okay, well, what do you want again? She's like, oh, coffee, bagel, cream cheese, can you toast a bagel? I'm like, are you serious? You know what I mean? I just can't believe people, bro. Man, I'll tell you. South Florida, bro. People down here got some fucking balls, dude. South Florida, the place where dreams are shattered on the jagged rocks of reality.
Thank you, Michael. Always entertaining to hear your anecdotes. Be safe out there. One love. And now, it's time for our featured guest, Christopher Forlini. Chris was my roommate in college, junior year, 1998, and he left halfway through the year to go study at Philipps University of Marburg in Germany. And he's been there ever since. I flew out in 2000 and spent a couple weeks with him, which was awesome. Afterward, he became a lecturer at the University of Bonn, and later a research scholar at the Free University of Berlin, and he's currently a lecturer in English at the University of Kassel. He's married to a lovely woman named Judith, whom I have yet to meet in person, although I have it on good authority that she's real. And really, we've only seen each other a handful of times since then, in the last 18 years. So we had a whole ride from the train station and brunch at a diner before actually sitting down in my backyard to record a conversation over 2 bottles of wine, which we kill in the course of this hour and a half you're about to hear. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome and enjoy the legendary Christopher Forlini. We covered all the important stuff.
That's right. So now let's cover the unimportant stuff.
All right.
So let's start off, I guess, maybe with Trump.
Well, you were just saying.
Yeah, I mean, one of
the
things
douchebaggery level in America has gone up.
One of the things that I find odd about or let's start off with the idea is how people in at least in Germany, or at least the people that I hang out with in Germany, the crowd that I run with in Germany, how they view a guy like Donald Trump. I mean, they view him as more of a clown, not a serious person.
I think that's how we view him, though.
I think one of the things that that people in Germany expect of their leaders is not just a sense of decorum, a sense of class, but also a sense of, for example, the Chancellor of Germany has a PhD. Now, obviously, you don't need a PhD to be considered an intelligent person or to be an intelligent person, but it's this idea that, you don't need to play down your credentials. You don't need, you have a PhD, you have this sort of piece of paper, you've done something that, not very many people do. So be proud of something like that. And that is something that is a qualification, academic qualification. And it doesn't mean piled high and deeper. It doesn't mean that you're a blowhard or whatever. It means that you've, attained a certain mastery in a certain subject, and that is something that you yourself can be very proud of. And that is something that I sort of find very odd in America. It's an anti-intellectualism, this idea that, experts are, talked down repeatedly, that people are always take an expert and say, okay, well, this person has a certain kind of agenda that we then need to, so that's why we need to completely disqualify his or her knowledge on a certain subject. And to me, it seems very very childish. I mean, if you go, let's say, to a brain surgeon, right? Nobody would say, well, excuse me, Mr. Brain Surgeon, I don't think you're an expert in your field. I do know more about the brain surgery than you. No, you don't. That's why you're going to a brain surgeon. Or when let's say the water's coming through the ceiling and you need a plumber to sort of fix it. Do you sit there and say, well, Mr. Plumber, I called you, but I don't actually need you because I know more about plumbing than you. No, you called a plumber, so you need a plumber.
Or I have this YouTube video that's going to show me how to do it.
Yeah,
better than you.
Better than you, yeah.
Well, okay. So part of the reason for that, I think, is when you have an expert or somebody with intelligence that questions the beliefs of somebody, that person doesn't want to have their beliefs questioned.
No,
so the only thing they can do is attack back and try and destroy the expert's credibility because it challenges their viewpoint.
Yeah. I think that's something that is very, very... one of the things that I always do with my students is I love doing critical thinking exercises. We have a project now, it's called Hack Your Writing. And one of the things that I originally thought was that my students sometimes give me these sort of gibberish sentences where you go, well, there's no real subject here and the verb doesn't really seem to fit. Or
these are college students.
College students,
See,
yeah.
I get the same thing with my 5th grade students.
Well, I would say sometimes my college students are linguistically and maybe mentally on the level.
Right, exactly.
But no, they give me these gibberish sentences sometimes, and I call them word salads because it looks like English, it sounds like English, but it's not English because there's no real order to structure to the sentence. And I originally thought it was always a problem of language skills, right? And until I started to think, well, maybe it's not just a problem of language skills. Maybe it's a problem of, argumentation skills, or maybe concentrating or disciplining their thoughts. And that's something that we said, okay, let's work on this, and we'll see what we can do. So it's a sort of a two-pronged approach. It's to give students the linguistic tools to sort of condition or to train their thinking that, okay, if I want to express, or not if I want to express the thought I'm having, but I have this kind of vague thought. How do I then channel this vague thought into real,
that's the real challenge, isn't it?
Concrete ideas that I can then express in language, either in written or in oral form. And so we started this project, and we're sort of in the middle of this project, so we haven't finished it yet, but. One of the basic things I tell my students is it's not linguistically correct, not linguistically accurate, but I say that the most effective student is the active sentence, the somebody does something sentence.
Right.
The somebody or something does something sentence. Right? And if they begin to sort of channel their thoughts that way, right, they can construct a very effective argument that can also be challenged, and then you have to then begin to start justifying your argument, right? And so you have to then develop different kinds of rhetorical strategies. How do I justify it? How do I explain to someone? Is it more? Do I need to explain something to them? Is it a matter of a definition? Is it a matter of maybe
an example?
Example. There's all kinds of different sort of things you can use to convey these kinds of things. One of the things that sort of puzzles me is that. On the one hand, you have a democratic system that essentially lives off of rational debate, but very little rational debate
actually takes place.
I mean, this Facebook culture or the Instagram or the WhatsApp culture that we live in, first of all, I always wonder why people even engage in these debates on Facebook or whatever. I mean, you really think you're going to change anybody's mind?
No, but I think they get some sort of pleasure out of it.
I guess maybe it's kind of like why do people watch talk shows?
Yeah.
I mean, you watch someone who's doing a talk show because you say, well, yeah, the guy's worse off than I am, so. Or the guy's got, or the guy's got he's got a more horrible life than I do. So great, let's. I feel better about myself.
Yeah, these like vicarious emotions that you're putting into something like that.
Yeah, or maybe that person's living a really kick-ass life. So he does all kinds of weird, really great stuff, and I'm sort of living through that person. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I mean, what do you do with your students? I mean, you teach social studies?
I teach social studies half the year and science the other half.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, it's crazy.
And do you have different groups for that, or is it the same group?
It's 2 5th grade classes, 26 kids in each class, and then we switch. So I do, like I said, reading, science, social studies. The other teacher does math and writing, which is not typical because language arts in America is usually done with reading and writing together in a 90 plus 45-minute block. But when we departmentalized and chose the subjects, I was vehemently against teaching writing. And
why?
You know me, I'm a writer. Right?
But why did you not want to teach writing?
Because of the things you were saying. I mean, when you talk about sentences that don't make the deep... Let me put it this way. A 5th grade writing sample, generally speaking, from what I see from my students, is on a 2nd or 3rd grade level.
Okay.
Across the board. And it could be the area where I teach, because it's inner city, right? It's not a private school where these kids they're rich kids. But I see it as an overall trend across the board in America, a lot of it having to do with social networking and text messaging where normal grammar rules don't apply.
Of course.
But these kids, for us, it's okay because we knew the grammar rules before all of this. So we can break those rules and we know what we're doing and we know how to communicate effectively in the right medium. These kids don't. One of the basic things I have to explain to them is, okay, there's a texting world where you can break the rules, but then there's this other world where you need a job or you have to write a professional letter to somebody and you have to sound like you know what you're talking about. You can't sound ignorant.
Yeah. I get that. I get that as well. I mean, it's. Linguistically, the concept is called register, and it's this register problem. I mean, I always illustrate it by saying, well, in German, how would you address, let's say, a university professor?
There go the fucking bells. But anyway, go ahead.
So I was saying, how would you address a university professor in Germany? Would you say, for example, to my one colleague, let's say Professor Schmidt? Would you Professor Claudia Schmidt? Would you go, hey, Cloudy baby, right? No, you wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you would obviously call her, Professor Schmidt, and you would address her, her title and the last name, right? Or you would, you would use a different kind of language when writing a letter to her. You wouldn't, where you're in the bar with your friends, you wouldn't call, your friend like, hey, Mr. Mr. D'Ambrose, right? Mark, right?
Formal and informal.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's that kind of thing that is sometimes difficult to students. And once in a while, I mean, I've gotten it's not so much. It's often in emails because of that sort of communication, that form of communication, the text messaging. Mm-hmm. I get sometimes emails from students like I've never seen a student before, and I get like emoticons in my email, and I go or I get like curse words. Like, I can't come to class today because I got a lot of shit to do. Yeah. And you go, well, don't ever come to my fucking class because
that's not acceptable.
Because that's not fucking acceptable. Yeah. No, I mean, just things like that where we say, hey, listen,
Hey, I got kids that write you, the letter U for you. They spell does, D-O-S-E. These are 5th graders. I mean, we've got LOLs and I'm trying to think of another example, but...
Yeah.
And it's not just the kids. The adults, too. You know how many fucking grammar mistakes I see from people that, they're friends, loved ones, they're relatively intelligent, and I don't know what it is for me when I see a grammar error, a very basic one. My respect for the person, it goes down.
It dips.
I can't help it. I'm like, you don't understand an apostrophe. You're putting an apostrophe in a fucking plural. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You're an adult.
Exactly. This is not acceptable.
It's just, and it's gotten so bad that I find myself now making those stupid grammar mistakes just because I'm exposed to it so much. It's like fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
And in our curriculum, and I don't teach writing.
Wow, this is like this. It's not just the bell. This is like a melody
I told you.
there.
Yeah, not only does it ring every hour and half hour, but it'll play full songs.
What
I forget how many times
is this
a day.
Church or?
Yeah, there's a church right next door.
Oh, okay.
And then
Could you not? Not. I mean, I don't know if I could say this on tape, but
you can say anything you want.
what I'm saying is that could you go over there with a baseball bat and take care of it?
No, but here's the funny thing.
Yeah.
So there's a neighbor across the street, and
Yeah.
he's over here talking to the landlord one day. And I'm sitting out here, and they're like, "Oh, we got the bells working again." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, it already rings 3 times a day." He's like, "It's supposed to ring every hour, half hour, and blah, blah." And he was giving me this whole schedule of the bells. Because I guess the guy was, grew up here. So he went to the church a couple weeks ago and complained and got them to turn their system back on. And ever since then, it's been bells all fucking day long. They don't stop ringing until 9 o'clock at night.
Could you not maybe?
I'm using it as a meditation experiment or an awareness experiment,
a couple firecrackers.
or just whenever they ring, I stop and I go, okay, what am I thinking right now? What am I doing?
That's actually really a good exercise, a good idea, because I've never done anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the bells that. I mean, okay, in Germany when they have the church bells, I mean they have like the big freaking church bell that go bong 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 throughout the city, and that's not meditative at all. Especially because they don't do it all day; they do it on Sunday mornings. So you're trying to sleep in bed on a Sunday morning, and you hear like dung 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 dung, and like 15 minutes, and you go, you know what? I'm really grateful, and I'm really happy that you're enjoying your religious ceremony. But don't bother me right now.
Don't wake me up.
Don't wake me up at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, or like 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
We get 8 o'clock Saturday and Sunday. They go off, and that's it. I'm not going to get back to sleep after that.
Yeah, I can't. I'm a very light sleeper.
Yeah.
So something like that will kind of, and then that's it.
Right. No, wait. Go back to. Oh, okay. So I'm sorry because I just want to get this point out. Grammar.
Yeah.
They're telling us, grammar's not important. It's the least important of the things you need to teach. You need to teach them how to write in different forms, narrative and expository and all this. But grammar gets severely underplayed, and I disagree with it.
Yeah.
Because where I understand that grammar rules are flexible, and most of these rules can sometimes go one way or another. Knowing grammar in your mind allows you to structure your thoughts.
Yeah.
When you talk about creating a sentence that makes sense. So when you talk about conveying that nebulous idea you have in your head, being able to put it into words, grammar is the anchor, the skeleton upon which that happens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my students, because the German language functions a little bit differently, it has inflectional endings.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, for example, English is a subject-verb-object language.
Yes.
Whereas German isn't always a subject-verb-object language. It's the most common kind of sentence you see. But you can, for example, put other things in the front. So you can put, for example, dative and accusative objects in the front, and because of the inflectional endings, it'll be very clear what the subject of the sentence is.
Can you give me an example?
For example, the man follows the dog versus the dog follows the man. Right? In German, what you can do, it's der Mann, which is der is a nominative, and folgt dem Hund. Right? So it's the man follows the dog. Right? And the dem is always a dative.
Okay.
Right, dem is a marker for the dative, and folgen is a verb that goes with the dative, right? So, for example, if I were to say der Mann folgt dem Hund, right? That's how I just said the man follows the dog, but I could put the Hund at the beginning, so I could say dem Hund folgt der Mann, right? And obviously, word order wise, it's dog follow man.
Yeah.
But because the dem is the dative, it's clear that it's the man. Although it's after the verb, it's the subject, it's the nominative, so you know exactly who's following who. In English, if you transpose those, you have a completely different sentence. The dog follows the man versus the man follows the dog. And that's something that, it doesn't, I mean, sometimes there are ambiguous cases in German, fair enough, but you know then to avoid these kinds of ambiguous cases.
Sure,
And, but the point is that it's because word order is sometimes more flexible in German, or there's other kinds of things that are more flexible in German. students then will transpose that sort of German grammar onto English grammar. And you have to then say, well, no, that's not how we construct sentences in English.
Yes.
Right? So you have to then teach them these kinds of basic sort of word order issues.
Sure.
Or sometimes they have a problem. My students have a problem writing complete sentences. Though, for example, and you say, well, yeah, we don't always talk in complete sentences. Fair enough, right?
Yeah.
I say, for example, you'd say, well, you're late. Yeah, of course I'm late. Well, why are you late? Because I had things to do. Because I had things to do is obviously not a complete sentence.
It's an dependent clause.
But it's in spoken English, it's perfectly fine.
Sure.
Whereas you can't write it. And students then will write these incomplete sentences, and you then have to sort of teach them, well, no, we do it differently. Right?
How hilarious is that you and I are dealing with the same friggin' issues?
Yeah.
Because it's just so funny to me.
It is. I mean, although we teach very different levels, but
Yeah.
I mean, we deal with the same issues, and that's what's kind of funny. We have I mean, 5th grade is middle school, right? I mean, well, whether it's grammar school, middle school.
In our school, it depends on what it is. Sometimes we're considered middle school, and sometimes we're considered elementary.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yes,
yeah,
more or less middle school.
Yeah, it's kind of that transitional sort of phase. And it's funny because one of my colleagues, they were looking to hire somebody new, and I recommended a middle school language arts teacher. There's a guy named Richard from West Virginia. Was a middle school language arts teacher, so he taught 6th grade, 7th grade, and I said, let's be honest, right? Some of our students, quite a few of our students, are at that level.
Yeah.
They're at that sort of 6th, 7th grade, writing and reading level. Maybe not the mindset or whatever, but they're at that level linguistically. So a guy like that would be perfect because he knows exactly, what level they're at. He knows exactly, okay, this is how I have to, this is how I can structure a lesson, etc.
Sure, absolutely.
He didn't get the job because he was actually qualified for it. So
that seems to be a common theme going on here.
So why don't can we cut that out of the podcast?
All right. Well, let's go back to actually you because it's been 18 minutes already.
Okay, fair enough.
Which I love
think you need a little more
vino. Thank you so much.
You can drive me back to the train station.
I'll be fine to drive you back.
Fantastic.
Don't you worry.
Okay, good.
Whenever you have to go.
Great.
But the last time we said we saw each other was like 2012-ish.
2012-ish, yeah. I think it was 2012. It was with Pete Magyar.
Yeah.
And it was with that was Pete. We met up in Hoboken. And then I saw Pete afterwards. 2014 was 2 years later.
And you saw him where?
In Berlin.
In Berlin, that's it.
Yeah, he was in my neighborhood. He was at a hotel, some sort of swanky kind of hotel. I think his company is a German company.
Yeah.
Or he was out there because they were buying a German company or something like that, some sort of translation company, and then he was set up in the sort of swanky hotel in a very sort of ritzy part of my neighborhood in Berlin. It's Schöneberg, and parts of it are it's a very interesting sort of neighborhood. It contains a really good mix. So we have rich, we have poor, we have German, we have Turkish, Kurdish, we have people have been living there for other international people. We have people who have been living there for 60, 70, 80 years.
Wow.
People that just moved there like 2 or 3 months ago. So we have a really good mix. And he was set up in the sort of little swanky part of Schöneberg. So we went. I took him for Turkish food.
He got married. You got married.
Well, I married beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah. You got married way before him.
2010. Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, his girlfriend is she's what is she? Lithuanian?
No, I think she's Canadian actually. Isn't she? No.
I think she's maybe of Lithuanian descent or something like that. But
she's kind of more than she's Lithuanian descent. I think she's from Canada, isn't she?
Could be. I have no clue. I saw pictures. Good looking.
I met her. She's really nice. He actually invited Doug and I to his wedding. You too?
No. Would you?
Would I what?
Like let's say if she wasn't with Pete.
I have to. Sure, why not?
Okay.
Why not?
That was the whole thing.
I was like, well, let me try and picture her again. I'm like, no, whatever. I'll just fucking do it. Just to see Pete's reaction. No, I'm just kidding. But
she invited you and Doug to the wedding. Okay.
Yeah, but we ended up not going.
And why not?
I think at the time we just didn't have the funds. We sort of waited too long to rent the hotel.
Oh, where was it?
It was up in Canada. It was over the border.
Okay, yeah. You got to go up there. It's a
Yeah,
hall.
and we did get the passports, or at least I got mine. I don't know if he had gotten his in time, but I had mine, and it just didn't work out. What it was Doug bailed. He couldn't do it, and then I was like, well, I'm not going to make the whole drive myself, and I felt kind of bad, because I was honored that he had considered us and asked us there.
So now, yeah, how's Doug doing, by the way?
Doug is fantastic. He just started his PhD for educational technology leadership. So eventually he wants to sort of phase out of teaching in the classroom and do more of, I guess, curriculum development, but using technology, and so more traveling, and I don't know exactly what.
That's really quite interesting. I'd be interested in talking with somebody like that, because that's kind of one of what if I would love to. My sort of ideal would be to create a position for myself. I kind of have a position that's sort of created for myself in Kassel, just through different sort of ways.
Yeah.
But I would love to create a position for experimental education, and just work with a group of students and high schools and grammar schools in the area, and just say, hey, listen, let's just get some really crazy ideas together and see if they work or not.
Yes, exactly.
Work with teachers and see if they, and we would provide you with different kinds. So you would, one of the things behind this Hack Your English project that we're doing is that we give students, so we give high school students and teachers, we give them, because I'll explain to you the basic idea behind the basic concept behind it. It's the project called Hack Your English, and it was when you teach German students English at a certain level, right? When you need to sort of kinds of stuff, they don't need to learn English from the beginning.
Okay.
Rather, there's specific mistakes that they make, and they make these mistakes because German functions differently from English.
Yeah.
So, for example, a typical mistake that Germans would make would be they would either overuse the progressive and they would underuse the present perfect. So, for example, if you asked them, okay, so how long have you been studying English for? Right? They say, well, I'm studying English for 10 years. And you go, right? I've been studying English for 10 years, right? So, and in German, you don't have that difference. You have two ways of expressing the past.
Okay.
Right? One, it's grammatically similar, or let's say it's morphologically similar to a present perfect, right? And the other one is called the preterite past. Right? It's very similar to our simple past.
Okay.
Morphologically. The only problem is that in German it's a matter of style, how you use or when you use what. So, for example, let's say certain kinds of verbs, because they're very, very common, you would use the preterite past just solely with these verbs. Like, for example, the verb to be or the verb to have.
Right.
So you wouldn't say ich habe gehabt, you'd say ich hatte. Right? And that would be the preterite past, and the meaning is completely interchangeable. The same thing with the verb to be. The meaning is completely interchangeable. Whereas other verbs, for example, if you were writing, let's say, in a very formal style for a newspaper, etc., and when you write for a newspaper, you also need to worry about things like word economy, right? You need to make it as short as possible. So you would use, let's say, the preterite past because it's easier to express.
Yeah.
Right? It's shorter. It's simpler to express, and it's also considered more elegant. It's more formal. But there's no difference in meaning. But there's a difference in meaning between, let's say, something like I've been studying English for 10 years versus I studied English for 10 years.
Sure.
Right? Or there's a difference between, let's say, something like where you wouldn't say, let's say, 10 years ago, I've been to Jamaica. No, 10 years ago I was in Jamaica, or I went to Jamaica 10 years ago. Something like that. You wouldn't use the present perfect there because there's no real connection to the present.
Sure.
Right. So something like that, you need to sort of focus on with those students. But there's other kinds of things as well. So I said, well, and they come to university and they have these big sort of gaps in their knowledge of English, or they can't use conditionals correctly. Right. So they come to university and have these big gaps. Right. There's tons of different things the mistakes that they make, and we need to solve this problem as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? So I sit them down and I say, okay, well, I created this kind of online program for them, and it's called Hack Your English. So it gives them these kinds of little simple hacks, these tricks, right, that spot targets the mistakes they make. This is why you make this mistake. This is how you can, or this is the mistake you make. This is why you make it, and this is how you can fix it ASAP.
Wait a minute. You had videos for this?
Yeah.
I saw one of these. You posted this, or this was posted, or you were tagged in it or something.
Yeah.
I remember watching you do this.
Yeah, I mean, but we did much better videos. So we did videos with like that are shorter, that are sweeter, better animation.
Right.
We actually have animation. I created a little figure. He's called Lothar the German Grammar Troll. There was a figure. He was a German soccer player. His name was Lothar Matthäus.
Okay.
He was a World Cup winner, the captain of the World Cup winning soccer team in 1990.
Right.
World soccer player of the year. Fantastic guy. He spent 2 years, or 1 or 2 years, playing for the Metro Stars in New York City. And his English was so catastrophic that he became kind of like the laughing stock of sort of Germany.
Right.
And his English was, for example, he would say things like, "I hope we have a little bit lucky and win the championship," and or just things like that.
That's perfect.
And so so I created a kind of figure, and Lothar makes all of these stupid mistakes. So I go then like Lothar, shut up. Like I got this. Like Lothar would make a little mistake, and I'm like. Psh, psh, psh. Like I got this.
But wait, what is the troll? Is it like on the video? What is the troll?
It's animated.
Oh, you said that. I'm sorry. It's animated.
It's animated, yeah.
Who animates it?
I have a guy in Germany who animates it.
These are all available online?
The new ones are coming up, yeah.
Because is this something? Are they done in German or are they done all in English?
They're done all in English.
So I can show these to my kids.
I can show you a couple clips later on. The Grammar Troll ones we don't have available yet, so we're still finishing up the animations, the animation sequences, because it takes a while to do that.
Sure.
We have these are all projects that got funded through the university, so we have these. So we're also actually creating hopefully this will be finished out and about by Christmas. We created a kind of a little figure. We had some money left over from a project. So we said, well, let's create this kind of little funny sort of figure. We call it the liberal pussy, and it's a vagina that talks. It's an animated vagina that talks.
What does it say?
And it's like the liberal pussy explains. And so it's like the little vagina has like a little participation trophy. So it's like a real kind of like plays all the cliches of like liberals. And so we sort of used it to explain different kinds of things. So for example, do you know why in Virginia they used Charlottesville, Virginia? Why the alt-right? Why these white nationalists? Why they used tiki torches?
No.
Well, it's called a Fackelzug or a Zapfenstreich. And these were these SA processions the processions at the SA, the Sturmabteilung, which was the kind of, defense force for the Nazi Party, or the enforcers for the Nazi Party. So these were people that, like, if you needed to, let's say if you said, okay, well, there's a group of people meeting there, communists or whatever, or maybe there's some, political party having a rally there. We don't like these people, so let's send the SA over there, and they break it up.
Right. Okay.
So they go over there and just start beating people up and disrupting the event.
Yeah.
Or they said, okay, well, maybe some of the other parties will send people to break up our rally, so we need some like muscle.
Okay.
So that's what they did, and so they did things like that, or they said, well, maybe we need to, organize a kind of, there's a political opponent that we don't like, so we have to maybe take them out. So they got the SA to do it.
Wow.
And so it was during the, you can look at these pictures online, but the SA would have these processions where they would hold sort of torches, and they would march, and they would march through like different kinds of, and there was a big sort of a procession that they had when the Nazis came to power through the Brandenburg Gate, and it was modeled after what they called the Zapfenstreich, which is a military tattoo, a military sort of parade.
Okay.
And this was a very important part of sort of the SA lore. The pictures you see online are actually recreated.
Okay.
Right. The first time they did it, it did not look as impressive. So a couple of years later, they said, well, in 1936, they said, you know what, we need to make it look a little better. So let's sort of recreate these sort of pictures. And obviously they had actors, professional actors come in, and they really recreated that from the Brandenburg Gate.
Wow.
But that's why they carry these tiki torches.
That's a conscious decision.
That's a conscious decision. That's not like we're carrying the tiki torch because, we need to...
And we're unaware of the connection. We know
No,
what we're
they
doing.
know exactly
That's
the connection. And that's why. So that's something like that where you say, well, why are these tiki torches being carried? Right? that's an important thing. Another important thing is, or another thing we want to talk about is, for example, you hear a lot about Antifa, right?
Yes.
What exactly is Antifa? Most people don't know, so we said, okay, let's create a video, The Liberal Pussy Explains Antifa. And so The Liberal Pussy explains a little bit about the origin, the history, etc. of Antifa. So it's these kinds of things that we want to do. It's like a bit of like adult humor plus education.
Sure, absolutely.
So it's kind of like taking, I mean, whether a talking vagina is probably the best way to convey that.
Doesn't matter. It's
yeah,
perfect.
And I thought because it'd be kind of funny, because obviously you're talking about a stereotype that liberals have been sort of slapped with.
Well, it's funny you say that, though, but look what's happening. So, we talk about the fascists and the tiki torch carriers and all that shit that's going on the alt-right, but look at the far left.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume you're aware of the whole social justice warrior phenomenon on college campuses, the laws in Canada. I mean, it's just as bad on the other side of the spectrum.
Of course. I mean, anybody that... how do I get this?
What are you trying to get?
There's a bug in here.
Oh, you just drink it, man. It's protein.
Yeah, that's true. I'll just wash it out later on.
I don't... Well, I have water here.
Yeah.
Just pour some water in there. Rinse it out. Here you go.
Well, shall we just at least taste this?
Yeah,
see if this
the,
is...
the first bottle is almost completely killed.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is.
We never drank wine in college, did we?
No, in college it was... Well, this was after you left, though, because I wasn't a drinker.
Yeah.
And I didn't start... I mean, I've never really been a drinker, but I definitely junior and senior year was when we were all about the vodka tonics. The bathroom was disgusting, because it was just, sharing the quad and the bathroom in the middle. And, it was... Who knows how long it would be before somebody would clean it. And then we would have all the vodka tonic stuff and the ice and the lemons just all laying there by the sink.
Somebody would be taking a shit.
It's fucking it was disgusting.
I remember. How about Martin? What's Martin doing nowadays?
All I really know about him is that he checked out my podcast at least once because his name showed up on people who viewed your podcast. But we don't really communicate anymore.
How about who else? Oh, so do you have any connection to what was that? What was that crazy girl you dated?
Olivia?
Olivia, yeah.
Nope.
She was crazy.
Well, she was... That was when you and I were living together.
Yeah, she was like psycho crazy.
She turned out to be, right? Because she was awesome. It lasted 5 months. And about 3 months in, the crazy started to come out, so that she had a cigarette burn on her arm once. And I remember at one point, she started regressing and talking like a little girl.
Oh, man.
And that was the point. Oh, okay. Like I'm dealing with somebody on this level. But she lost interest in me very quickly.
And who else? Who else I remember from the old days? Doug. How's Doug doing?
Well, Doug as well. You asked me about him before. He lives like 15 minutes away.
And so, where's he doing his PhD? Rutgers?
Jersey City University, actually.
Jersey City, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he teaches 7th and 8th grade history at a private school for emotionally disturbed kids. So kids that can't really be in a regular public school. Mm-hmm. They go there. So his class size is very small, but he's dealing with... They have therapists.
So let's see how this one...
It gets harder and harder to... I haven't even finished this one yet. How is it?
It's nice. I mean, all the wines are quite nice.
This is the sharecroppers.
The sharecroppers, yeah, the sharecroppers.
Sharecroppers Cabernet.
So how are you teaching your kid? Like, what are you teaching about sharecropping, or what is the?
So
what exactly do you teach? Because I'm
in social studies.
One of the things that I guess kind of shocks me. I mean, I'm totally removed from this.
They don't know their history.
And I have so much freedom that I don't have to worry. And plus, Germany is a. I mean. Who knows what's going to happen in the next, let's say, 5 or 10 years? Simply because there's a right-wing party on the march.
Yes, I've heard.
And they're very vocal. They got 13% of the vote in the last election, which happened a couple weeks ago. It was September 24th. So what was that, 2 weeks ago?
I remember, yeah.
2 weeks ago. And people are freaking out, right? I mean, well, these people that I know are freaking out. Now, for 2 reasons, I would say, okay, well, don't worry just yet. I mean, the right-wing party got 13% of the vote, but that means that 87% of the people who voted against them,
Yes.
right? Which I think is a pretty clear repudiation of their politics.
Do you have a high voter turnout overall in your country?
I don't know what the voter turnout is in Germany. I have absolutely no clue.
Okay.
I do know it's generally higher than in America.
Sure.
I mean, what is it in America? I mean, during Obama, you had a relatively, I think the highest turnout.
That was the highest, yeah.
What was it, like 55, 60% maybe?
I don't know. And I don't know how they calculate. Well, I guess they calculate it by counting the votes. But
yeah, that'd probably be I mean, it's all estimation in the sense that, I mean, how many registered voters do you have? How many people do you have that are of voting age? I mean, do they know the exact amount of the exact number? Probably not. I mean,
I don't know if I want to get deep into this, but I question the legitimacy of the vote itself overall.
And why?
Like, for example, I didn't vote in the last election.
And why not?
I don't want to say, I don't want to go the whole conspiracy system route, but I just believe that these entrenched power structures, they're not going to let somebody into the system that they don't want.
Fair enough.
And so, you hear something like Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but he still got elected. And I just feel like the average citizen's vote, that single vote, I'm not sure that really carries any actual weight whatsoever anymore.
Well, I would say is that it probably does, but I mean, once you get into, I mean, one of the things that I find really interesting about Trump is that in certain respects, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And that you have a guy in power who is making waves, fair enough, with his statements, etc. But what has he drastically changed?
Nothing. But I said the same thing about Obama.
And
because people were like, oh, hope and change. I'm like, this guy is not going to make any of the radical choices or changes that we need to make as a country. It's not going to happen. If he's that far in the power structure, maybe what was it, Obamacare? It's not much has changed.
No. No, and that I think is an important thing to remember, that the more things change, the more they stay the same. That a guy, I mean, okay, when it comes to, let's say, like scrapping NAFTA or these kinds of things, is he really going to do that? And if he does do it, I mean, there's always, okay, well, we're going to scrap NAFTA, but then we need, a window, how many, year negotiation period to make sure all the things are done properly, la, 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 la. I mean, you take a look at the Paris Climate Accords, it's like, well, okay, well, the U.S. we've announced our intention to withdraw. Fair enough. When are you going to withdraw? The day after the 2020 election. So it's like, well, I mean, that's still 4 years in advance. That's still, well, not 4 years.
So what you're saying is if somebody else gets elected and says, well, we're staying in.
We're staying in, or if then he says, okay, we're going to withdraw. Okay, I won the 2020 U.S. election. Now, well, we'll see. Maybe we want to stay in because I want to have this and may have a say at this economic table and blah blah blah. The more things change, I think the more they stay the same. Mm-hmm. That's something that I find really quite fascinating.
Well, okay, so let's connect that to what you asked me about what I teach in history, because that's the overall theme that runs through. First of all, when they come to me, they know shit. They know absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. And the first day I say, okay, who hates social studies? Raise your hand. And all hands go up. Why? And so the number one response I get across the board is, my teacher made it boring. I wasn't interested. Not that I'm trying to slight the elementary teachers, but those classes are at the end of the day. They're in the last periods of the day. And you see dismissal at 3 o'clock, and those younger grades, they're already packed up and ready to go. So if
dismissal's at 3 o'clock, they're packed up by 2:45.
Exactly.
They're packed up by 2:45, and their brain has tuned out at half an hour ago.
So if they're getting social studies, and the other thing is too, and I am going to call out the teachers on this, is a lot of times the teachers themselves don't know their history. They're not interested in the subject, and so they put it lowest on the priority list. Then I get these kids, and they, like, for example, I had some of them this year that didn't know the difference between Jersey City, the city, and the state that they live in. They don't understand that countries are inside of continents and these basic fucking things.
You know what? I had students this year. It was not this semester, but the previous semester. The day after the students really took to this. The day after the election, that was that Wednesday. So I woke up and it wasn't clear that Trump had won.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like almost. And in the course of the morning, they then called it for Trump. They said, okay, it's clear that he won. You know, on the basis of exit polls, etc. Right? And this was another kind of funny sort of thing. That I'll tell you this off the record, but it was. So I said, okay. To me, it's a bit of a shock. Okay, fair enough. I voted. I voted for Hillary Clinton. I'm not going to mince my words here. I wasn't happy about voting for Hillary Clinton.
Right.
For several
That's why
reasons.
I didn't.
For several reasons.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? Sometimes in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, and she's the one-eyed man. So it's like let's just vote for her. And it's important that I do vote because I feel that I want to complain. I want to have the right to complain.
Yeah, but see, that's my thing. I didn't vote for either one of them. I have a right to complain.
Fair enough. You have a right to complain about the choices.
I go through this argument with my mom all the time.
But did you vote for like a third party?
Yeah, I thought about it, but I ended up not voting. And I do feel there's a part of me that feels regret or guilt because when I saw that he had won, I was like, could my vote, or if more people like me who didn't, could we have changed the situation?
Well, I mean, obviously,
I don't think so.
well, probably not because I mean, if you look at the electoral map, I mean, but I mean, I actually the first time I voted was in 2000 and was it 2008 or 2012?
2008 was.
I know Obama came.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I voted for Obama the first time. Not voted for Obama, but if I voted that election. But really, before that, I didn't vote. I was one of these people who didn't vote for a number of years. And then 2012, I think it was 2012, right? I said, you know what, I got to vote because it's not clear who's going to win. It's like a toss-up. And a state like New Jersey could go either way. It could go either because Romney was also, I mean, granted he had to go sort of more hard right for the primary, but you saw him then try to sort of swing back to the middle. And you also there was no instance where I thought he was really a super conservative candidate. He's not a Romney, although he's religious. He's not Ted Cruz. He's not a Donald Trump.
No, he's a successful businessman.
He's a successful businessman, but he also has. I mean, one of the things that you have to say about Mormons. I mean, I'm not. You could think about their religious beliefs. What you want to think about the
Sure.
But what I do like about well, as I like. I mean, I have very good Mormon friends, and I say. I said there's it's one thing that we Catholics don't read the Bible. At least we don't make one up.
I don't know. Maybe making one up sounds like take the lid off the wine, Marcus. But that's a sign that you shouldn't be drinking anymore.
Exactly.
Pouring with the lid on. Maybe making up your own Bible is the way to go. But anyway, so Mormons.
But there's number one an internationality to Mormons because they have to go on a mission. So when you go on a mission, they go on a mission for 2 years,
right? And
then they have to learn a foreign language. So they learn the language of the country they're going to mission. So the Mormons that are in Germany, I met quite a few of them on a regular, just out and about the town. I've invited them to my courses a couple of times to have them. I say you can't proselytize, but you can talk about your religion because it's a very American religion.
Sure.
So I say to them. So they say, well, you have to do it in English because. But they do it, and but they know German. They could easily talk about their religion in German. They could talk about other things in German. There was a Mormon missionary there in Berlin that I met a couple of weeks ago, who was able to talk. Who was there because he spoke Turkish, and Berlin has over 120,000 Turks or Turkish-speaking peoples in that. So it was a way for him to say, okay, well, we have to mission that sort of that large ethnic group. Yeah. So we have to send someone over here who speaks Turkish, and that was so it's you find that they speak foreign languages. They're very culturally aware.
That's cool. Okay.
Culturally sensitive. and they're also they also tithe. Right now, you can think, but the charity and family play an important role in Mormonism. So for them, there's a very different kind of sense of community. It's not this kind of like, rugged man pulling himself up by his bootstraps.
Yes.
But it's this idea of community, of family, and then there's the sort of internationality, because they all have to, at least once in their lives, go on a mission for
Yes.
2 years to a foreign country.
Yeah, my friend Pepe used to be a Mormon, and he had the same thing.
So for that, you say that, okay, there's definitely something there that is a little more open-minded than, let's say, your southern. I don't want to
Say it, man. That's the thing. That's what's happened.
Yeah.
Is now we're always like, is this the right thing to say? You and I are sitting alone
Yeah.
on my property, recording
podcast.
something, and we're worried. You stopped for a second, and you considered the larger people out there.
Well, I didn't consider that about there. I considered here.
Yeah.
Whether,
Well, because this will eventually go up. But it's just crazy how we have to do that. Like, think of a
Yeah.
comedian that has to say, "Can I tell this joke without repercussions?"
yeah.
These days.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing. But I mean, has it been really any different? I mean, you had people like Lenny Bruce who told dirty jokes. George Carlin did his bit, the 7 things you can't say on TV, the 7 words you can't say on TV. He managed to say all 7 of them. But I'm sure he got a lot of heat for that.
But don't you think it's like there's sort of a regression where those guys broke ground that we are now we fear to tread again?
Yeah.
Where we used to be able to walk easily on that ground.
Well, I don't know about easily, but we used to be able to walk on that ground.
Like a comedian can't use the word retard in their set. They can't.
One of the funniest elements, one of the funniest jokes I ever heard was Stephen Colbert on the Colbert Report.
I love the Colbert Report.
Said we had somebody from the Special Olympics on, and he said, "Okay, public service announcement: boys and girls out there, do not use the word retard. It's really gay." Perfect. You go. Ting, ting. That's a fantastic joke.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and you go, that's yeah. Yeah, I really admire somebody like that who can. But I mean, he also played a character, and it's very funny sometimes how did you see the correspondence dinner that he did with Bush?
That was one of my favorite things ever. I must have watched that a dozen times.
Where he sort of then, he's standing next to this person of power, with all of these people, and he tells these jokes in character, and that the person who, I guess, saw the Colbert Report didn't think that he was playing a comedian.
Yeah.
Didn't think he was a comedian, or didn't think he was playing a character, but thought that was like a real sort of. And you go, because why on God's universe would they ever invite him?
Yes.
On that thing, unless.
Oh, so you're saying that they believed in the character. They weren't able to divorce the fact that, and that's how the genius of Colbert.
Exactly, where you'd say like that in some way, shape, or form, somebody had to maybe mix something up because.
Yes.
Or maybe it was a sort of a ploy by like a sort of a bit of a subversive strategy by but whatever it was brilliant just to see this sort of comedian tell these kinds of jokes. And I mean, obviously, Donald Trump sort of didn't do the whole White House Correspondents' Dinner because, a guy like that does not have a sense of humor.
No, and he probably instinctively knows to avoid that because he's going to get shit. He's so sensitive. He's so narcissistic.
And that's something that I find really odd, is that why, I mean...
We'll go back to what we were talking about earlier when we were at the diner, I think. Arrested Development.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, when you talk about somebody who's had everything handed to them and so on and so forth, he is in a state of arrested development. Like so many other adult American males.
Yeah. I mean, I find this hilariously funny how he, yeah, I mean, talking about Arrested Development, yeah. I mean, how would you characterize this phenomenon of Arrested Development?
I think it's, coming off of the baby boomer generation, because I'm definitely part of this. The baby boomers have this sense of entitlement.
So your father?
My father, my mother, and my father definitely had it. Like, I could see it. We would go out to restaurants, and there would be this certain expectation of service, where at times I would feel like, you do realize that's a human being
he wasn't an asshole. He wasn't a dick. He was very polite and everything. But just that idea of I'm the one at the restaurant being served.
I'm a paying customer.
I'm a paying customer. You know, not that we're all human beings and that person's struggling and you're lucky that they can serve you your food. That kind of thing.
But not only that. I mean, it's just like, you know what? We all have bad days.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe
Yeah.
a little bit of like, hey, like.
Right. But there's that sense of entitlement and expectation of comfort or material gratification.
Yeah.
That the baby boomers took for granted. That got exacerbated with their kids, my generation, because of the times. Look at the 80s. Look at what it was. It was a fucking id generation. And so then you have my generation like that. Now we have kids, plus add in internet and electronic devices. Babies born in front of, with their face in front of the
these
screen.
kind of digital natives, they're born.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't always have this sort of digital world. We were talking about that before, that we didn't have this, like before we had cell phones. Like you said, I'd show up at that time, and you showed up or you didn't.
Oh,
and
we were talking, yeah.
And if you didn't, it was like, okay.
Instead of I'm leaving now, I'll be there in 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I'm right around the corner.
Yeah. Like your pastor was just like, yeah, you just stood and waited, and you know what? If you came around the corner, you came around the corner. If and when.
Yeah.
If you didn't, it was just be like, okay, I guess Mark isn't coming.
Yeah.
Something happened.
Right.
All right, okay, fair
Right.
enough. I'll call him later on. Maybe I'll call him from a payphone and be like, hey, dude, where are you? Oh, I'm sorry, I completely forgot, or whatever. It's like, yeah.
And now a message comes in, and you feel this psychological pull to answer it right away.
Immediately, I have to answer it immediately. I cannot wait.
Response.
I cannot wait. I cannot. You have to answer it immediately.
But here's why I have to answer immediately, which I don't anymore. I force myself not to. But the reason why is because it's like that undone thing in the back of your head. It's like that email you need to reply to, and it just sits there. Hey, John. It just sits there. That's the neighbor across the street. That's not the landlord.
Okay.
What was I saying?
The email, the Pavlovian response.
Yeah. So if you don't respond to it right away, it's always there. I got to respond to that person. You check your phone, you see that text message still sitting there that you haven't replied to. So sometimes I just want to get it out of the way so that I don't have to think about it anymore.
Sometimes I'll just I'll reply to it, but then sometimes I'll just be like, you know what? Put it tomorrow. And you know what? And there's never anything in my job that's so urgent that I need to reply to it now.
Right.
There's nothing. There's nothing that I do that is so urgent. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not a firefighter. I'm not a police officer.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor or some sort of emergency surgeon. I'm a university lecturer.
Quick, carefully, I need the etymology of this word.
Hold on a second. I got this. Some guy's got a gun to my head. If he doesn't have the etymology of this word, he's gonna shoot me. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Right.
So there's no instance where that would ever take place.
And it shouldn't have to throw you out of the present moment that you're in. No. That's the biggest thing that I can't stand. Is I'm into something and I have to divert my attention to this external.
One of the things I also don't like is through this sort of the I just don't like that sort of thing. I don't like the fact that people are reachable 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's expected of you to be reachable. And when you're not, people get angry at you. They say, "Well, where were you? What were you doing? Why weren't you?" So, you know what? Maybe, or my wife said to me. Someone was while she's like, I emailed you, I texted you last night. Yeah, last night was last night. I answered you this afternoon. Mm-hmm. What did I do? I woke up in the morning, I saw your message, yes, but I got up and I took a shower. I went to, I ate my breakfast. I went to the university. I taught all day. I was not thinking about your text message because it wasn't like this earth-shattering. It was more like good night, I love you, right? And then it's after the afternoon, and then I will tell you, I love you too.
That's a little long.
but seriously, it's like I had other shit to do.
Exactly.
I had other stuff, I had other things that occupied my mind. That I said, that there's maybe I don't know, maybe I don't want to start getting this whole men women thing.
Oh,
but maybe women can multitask, and this with me, I'm I got one track. That's it. There's one track right here that it's teach, or it's more it's when I get up in the morning, it's take my shower, drink my coffee, get my breakfast, go to work. When I'm at work, it's like brrr, teach. Then like when I'm finished with the day, then I answer my emails, my other stuff.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, like I'm not going to start.
Yeah, because then you're a slave to it. Then you're answering it at all different times.
Yeah.
So go back to that. So Arrested Development. So you have all those things in play, and then you have the fact that there's an incredible economic divide in this country. So I think that people are trying to live like the boomers and my generation when things were pretty decent. They think that they should be living like that. Many people in this country do. But the reality is, we're not making that much. We're not there anymore. But we still want to believe that we are.
But were the boomers ever really there?
I don't know.
I mean, it's one of the things that I find really interesting is that how, how would I put this? It's like if you pare down your fixed costs, right? What are your fixed costs a month, right? I mean, you're not going to give me numbers, but like
rent and electricity and gas for the car and food and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Those fixed costs, once you cover those, people now these days have barely enough. And I'm talking about a large segment of the population. Even the so-called middle class that are making $100,000 a year, they don't have enough afterward to do anything extra. But they want to live like they do.
And one of the things that I find funny is that the greatest moments that I ever experienced with let's say, like my wife or whatever, or my friends, those moments are for free.
Yes.
Right? And you say, well, okay, great, granted, I mean, we're drinking, some wine and whatever, that costs money. Okay, fair enough. But if we didn't have wine, and we just had water...
We'd be fine.
Water's what? What's a gallon of water?
Oh, like here? $2?
Out of the tap.
Oh, out of the tap? Free.
Well, not free. I mean, you got to pay your water bill.
I don't pay the water bill. Your landlord pays the water bill.
Okay, fine, fair enough.
This is why he always makes comments about the amount of laundry I do and showers I take.
Okay, fine, fair enough.
But anyway, yeah.
But fair enough.
But you're right. It costs a fractional amount, is what you're saying.
Like, I mean, a couple of... I mean, I don't know about $2 water. It's a couple cents.
Yeah, sure.
Right? It's nothing. Mm-hmm. It's nothing. Right? It's nothing. And you know what? And if you didn't have a nice place like this, then maybe we'd take a walk to the park.
So I see what you're saying.
And so these are moments that really make life worth living, right? And I mean, okay,
that require no material or financial exuberance whatsoever,
right? Or for example, I really enjoy running, right? Okay, fine, fair enough. I mean, I have to buy running shoes. I have to, have some running clothes to run in. I mean, what kind of running clothes you have? I mean, obviously, I do actually have proper running clothes. But I mean, running itself as the activity is cost me very little, and it's a sort of pleasure that I have that I take every morning. Not every morning, I don't run every morning, but when I do run, it's like I run up in when I live in Kassel, I run up this UNESCO World Heritage Site. So I run all the way up to the top of this sort of big hill, and it's a view overlooking the entire city of Kassel. And you have this because when you go in really early in the morning, there's like a fog or like clouds. And it just sort of sits up there.
I love it.
And you just stand up there on this big this massive sort of mountain. It's a man-made mountain, right? And you look out, and I mean, there's actually like a man-made waterfall. It's like this whole gigantic sort of waterfall, like these cascades and whatever. It's beautiful, but what really fascinates me is this view that you have. And you just look out on the horizon, and you see, and it's just like, and you go, yeah. That's it. That's art. That's pleasure. That's wow.
And that cost me absolutely nothing.
No, it just cost me the amount of food and water I need to run to the top of the hill and run back down.
Yeah.
That's it. Which is nothing. It's that moment that like, right, or it's those kinds of things that I find people tend to sort of underestimate those moments.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. I mean, it's or. Great moments are, we've all been there when we fall in love. We've all been there when we're sitting there next to the person we love, and we just look at them and go. And we wake up next to the person we love, and we look at that person and go, Like,
Yeah.
wow, this person that I totally love is waking up next to me, and I'm looking at this woman and going,
Mm-hmm.
that's free.
Yes, absolutely.
That's free. The woman, the love that's these, the friends I have. I mean, they're obviously not friends with me because I have money. Let's put it like that. I mean, or I know my wife doesn't love me because I have money. So it's that kind of thing where you say, or because I have some sort of grand material possession, like I have a really hot car
or a prestigious position somewhere.
No.
Yeah.
So it's like those are these sort of real things in life that make life worth living. I mean, people always ask me, they say, well, Kassel's a pretty crappy town. It's like a pretty sort of nondescript, German sort of small town. You go, yeah, it is, right? But on the other hand, when you have good friends and you have, good people and you enjoy what you do, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Right? Who cares where you live? People.
Sure.
I have friends who say, "Oh, but don't you want to live in New York with the art, the artists that you work with, or the art that the kind of work that you do? Don't you want to live maybe in New York or maybe in London or something like that?" And I say, "Sure, I could, but I could live anywhere as long as I have good friends, good, a good social structure, a good social network of people that are." And making friends costs you nothing.
Right. And
it just costs you don't be an asshole.
There are people that that do need to go to those places because where they are, they can't find those friends. So there's like-minded people, right? And so that's a legitimate reason to move. But on the other hand, ultimately, it doesn't matter where the fuck you are, what your external environment is.
We do need to save some for Nikki, right?
Your internal state. We can always go get more.
Yeah, fair enough.
She may not want to because I know she's got to go out later to something. I think it's a meditation, so she may not want to be in that state. But she loves her wine. Don't get me wrong. She loves it.
Yeah. I could never be with a woman that doesn't love her wine.
Yeah, we cut down considerably though. I mean, when we were in the old place, we would kill a bottle a night during a work week, and now we're lucky if we get a bottle. What? That's nothing for you?
Yeah.
The look on his face. I wanted that one.
I was like, we would kill a bottle, and I'm like, what? What?
Yeah, but with a 7-year-old and having to get up for work the next day,
I gotta get up for work the next day too.
For me, that's a lot.
Well, it depends. I mean, obviously, I don't. I mean, I'm not a guy who drinks 10 bottles of wine a night. But I mean, mine is I come home from work.
Yeah.
And I'm cooking. I always cook for myself. I find cooking relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
So I come home from work. I open up a bottle of wine. I'll have a glass while I'm cooking, and then I'll have a glass afterwards.
Yeah.
Right. And then I'll take a little nap, and then I'll go do a dance course, whatever. And then I'll go out with some with my dance partner or some friends of mine.
I don't know if I could drink that much alcohol. That would just be too much for me. I'm definitely a lightweight.
Okay.
1 or 2 glasses of wine, and already I'm just
Okay.
because I'm more of the other.
Okay.
I'm more of the other. Pick your substance or whatever. But alcohol, it's great, but just in moderation for me. But for you, that's moderate.
Yeah.
Yeah, for you, that's no big deal. Okay. And I think part of it too is I'm hyper conscious, especially with wine, because my dad was an alcoholic. Not a physical. He was never physically violent, but verbally. And so he'd come home and those red Solo cups. He'd fill a Solo cup up to the brim with wine. Yeah, and then he would kill it, start cooking dinner, and fill it up again. So I'm always very conscious of how much wine am I drinking and going down that route.
Because we had a bit of a different sort of situation in our family. It wasn't alcohol; it was drugs.
Well, when you say drugs, can I ask specifically what it was?
Heroin, cocaine.
Okay, now that's the bad stuff. Right. And of course, I have that with certain members of the family as well. So that's completely different. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. Alcoholism is bad.
Yeah. And
it can be just as bad as a heroin addiction.
But I would say it's. I mean, I would say exactly. I would say it's just as bad. I would say it's a little bit worse because it's socially acceptable.
Oh, so alcohol's worse.
Yeah, alcohol is more socially acceptable, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas, that's perfectly okay because whenever you go to bars in Germany, they're all.
Oh, that's right. They still have smoking there. Yeah.
it's really kind of funny because you would think like Germany would be the first country that would sort of sign on, like when the government bans something,
Yeah.
they'd be the first country to sort of sign on to
you
it.
would think so.
But no, because if there's a law against it, then they will just make another law which allows for an exception. So they have these bars, they're called smoking clubs.
Yes.
And you can go there, and it's the same bar that was always there. You were always allowed to smoke in, but now they just call it a smoking club.
Now it's
you
legal.
can serve alcohol. The same thing. Everything is the same. Just hasn't changed
They
at
don't
all.
have that here. Why don't they have smoking bars here? I would love that.
Well, they have places. It's cigar bars,
Yes, they have that.
but
They have
I mean,
outdoor smoking areas.
But I mean, to me, it's like, well,
It's a horrible habit.
let a bar. Yeah, it is a horrible habit. But you know what? At the end of the day, we all got to die from something.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's not the worst habit in the world. Let's put it that way.
You're at a fucking bar putting liquid poison into your body.
Well, that's what we're doing right now. Putting liquid
Right,
poison into
but
our
why
body.
can't you put some smoky poison into your body at the same time? You know.
Who knows?
But so go back to your the addiction. The
Yeah, so
heroin.
there's a lot of addiction. There were some addiction issues in our family, which is why I always said to myself, okay, let's not. I will never, ever, ever, ever even experiment with any kind of drugs.
Nothing at all.
No,
See, that to me, that's too blanket of a statement.
because for me it was always a scary thing. For me, it was always a very scary thing.
I understand.
It was always like I was just like, ooh.
One of my close friends, he had a girlfriend who had a brother that was addicted to heroin. So she was freaked out by him smoking pot. Like in her mind, because she didn't do anything, she didn't understand that heroin is not the same thing as pot. That a pot smoker is not a fucking heroin addict, you know.
Yeah.
But in her mind, it was the same thing. It was like you're
Same
into
category.
drugs, yeah, same category. You know, and I really believe that cannabis use in certain situations, like you said, for medical reasons.
No, I would definitely underscore cannabis use for medical reasons,
Yeah.
medical marijuana.
And also psychedelics for therapeutic use. I mean,
I have very little. It was actually really quite interesting. I met a couple of about a week ago. I met these two people in New York City that were my father's bar. That were they were into, or they were talking about, they were at a convention for therapeutic, goes into LSD or something like that.
yeah,
Psychotherapy.
yeah.
And and they were talking about it, and I said, okay. I mean,
It's
to
having
me,
incredible results.
To me, I said, I don't know. I mean, I've never been in a situation where that would ever be useful to me. And
see, I think you don't know.
no, I'm saying is I no, I don't know, which is why I would say I personally never been in a situation where it would be useful for me.
One of the famous quotes is, and I know you'll appreciate this one.
Okay.
Can you imagine going to the grave without ever having had the experience of having sex?
No.
That's what they say. That's what a psychedelic experience is like. Why? How could you go through your life? You know, sex is this. You're telling me I could not go through life not having that experience, not knowing what that's like. It's such a basic human experience. It's the same thing with psychedelics.
What I would say to you is that there's different forms of sex.
Well, that's true.
So, I mean, ever go through life without having, let's say, without any form of sort of self-pleasure? No.
Right. Okay.
No. Because that's something that's very basic.
Yeah.
Right? But, I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that have no sex drive. Do they?
Well, no, sure, absolutely.
Are there people out there that have
Yes,
that? Like, is that even possible?
apparently there are. I don't want to know them in that way.
like I said, not even. Yeah, but I mean, well, I guess they don't have a sex drive for a reason.
Right.
And sometimes you just want to go, okay.
No, but for the average person that it says, I want to have all the basic life human experiences. And or one of my favorite, what I hear from people all the time is, I love this. They say, I don't want to take psychedelics because I don't want to lose control. Now, give me that glass of wine, or give me those 5 shots. You know what I mean? You're taking a substance that impairs your judgment, makes you lose control, and you're afraid of
You're
taking
right.
something that actually makes you more aware and focused.
Well, I would say to you is that I always thought that to be the case for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's I would say that there's a difference between a qualitative and a quantitative high.
Okay.
And a quantitative high would be something like alcohol,
Right.
whereas a quantitative high would be quantitative high would be something like alcohol, whereas a qualitative high would be something like psychedelics.
Uh-huh.
But I don't really know much about psychedelics, so therefore I'm probably talking out of my ass.
Oh no, there's a certain validity.
And
to
I would
that.
say with alcohol, but also there comes a point in time with alcohol when if you're in a kind of in German they have a term for it. It's called Vollrausch. What would be in English? It's like you're completely inebriated. You've totally lost all kinds of
all your faculties of judgment.
and you
reason.
like you have this kind of like memory loss. Like you wake up the next morning and you go, "What the hell happened last night?"
Yeah, that was my dad.
Can you and you start either like frantically calling people, and you're like, what the hell happened last night? I have a vague memory that we were here at this bar, and then all of a sudden I don't remember exactly how I got home. What happened? Did I do anything stupid? Was I like?
Yeah, those are the scary moments.
You start to like check like your bank account, and you're like, did I? Well, wait, okay, I call it the old the old this. Spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch.
For the listeners, he's doing the sign of the cross right now.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. The last 15 minutes of this conversation takes place in the car as I drive Chris to the train station. Just wanted to let you know that I will have links for Chris Forlini up on the website at opusmarcuspodcast.com. I'm also going to include a video from Fabulous Confabulations, a talk show that I produced in college, and Chris was a guest on one of the episodes, so if you want to see what he was like back in the day, I highly recommend it. Okay, let's wrap this up.
And you know, at the end of the day, is that somebody told me what's the most important thing. I said, what? He says, did you say yes? Yes. Did you say yes? Yeah, great. Okay, you're married. And what the fuck? Does it matter what the hell you put on your fingers? No.
No, it does not.
As long as the guy says, okay, you say yes, great, fair enough, then we move on. Right?
Well,
here's a stupid piece of paper, and you're done.
And also, like, why does it I think one of the things that bugs me too about marriages is that they're all the fucking same. Like, you know, every girl wants a diamond ring because that's what you do. Like, there's no uniqueness to it.
No.
You know, most of these girls, they want the diamond ring, they want the ceremony with the same outfits, the same type of dress, the same details of the ceremony, the same vows said. It's fucking boring. Why do you want your wedding to be like everybody else's?
Yeah.
If you're even going to have a ceremony, which I think is bullshit too.
You know, that's it. You say yes, she says yes, and then you move on.
Yeah.
And you have a potluck. We had a potluck. Everybody brought shit.
That's the way to do it.
Everybody had a nice meal. We talked our ass off. We danced our asses off, and that was it.
Because you think about, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I have to be a person going to somebody else's wedding, I'm like, fuck. Like, I'm happy for him, but I gotta go to their wedding.
I said to people, we said, we don't want gifts.
Right.
We don't want gifts. I said, if somebody gives me a fucking toaster or some shit like that, I'm gonna punch them out.
Yeah.
Because that's like the shittiest gift you can give me, a toaster or some sort of like, you know, a kitchen utensil. I said, everything I want, I have. If I don't have it, I have the money to buy it.
All I want is your presence there. Like, that's the best gift you can give me.
And I said, bring some piece of food, some dish that reminds me of you.
There you go.
Right? And then just write it down as a recipe, and I'll put it all in the book. And that's a friend of mine. She organized this kind of books, and she said, everybody just write it down, either type it up, write it down, whatever. And we'll put it in the book. So she made like a little book with a little binder, and, you know, little photos, things like that. Put them in there. Great wedding gift, because people thought they said, you know, like, oh yeah, we had this. Like, I cooked this for you and Julia. They came to visit us, or you know, you always like this kind of salad growing up, so I'm going to make you this kind of salad. And your husband needs to, you know, your husband needs to realize what kind of salad you like. Okay, fine, fair enough. Oh, interesting. I didn't know you like this kind of salad. Yeah, I like this kind of salad. Yeah, okay. So that kind of thing where it was like, yeah.
Yeah. Thoughtful and yeah.
That was it.
I totally get it. Like, I love when people, the registry, where the couple will go to a store and put things on the registry that they want the guests to buy for them. Are you fucking kidding? That's what I mean about people living a certain type of lifestyle that they think is entitled or that they expect we should be at. When that's crazy. Things are hard right now. You don't need people to buy you a material thing because they're coming to your wedding. Like, it's too
I want them to
much.
come. I want them to have a couple drinks with me. I want them to, enjoy themselves. And most people that went to our wedding, they were like, "Wow, that was the best we ever went to."
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because we didn't do shit. We didn't
Right.
We had it in Germany. We said, I said, yeah, I'm not going to invite, my American people because they're not going to come out anyway. No big deal. I said, we actually thought we were going to have a wedding in America.
Right.
A wedding ceremony in America, but we didn't. So it was just that my mother and my stepfather came out. That was it.
Okay.
From my side, and we said, yeah, we're gonna have and we had about 40 people there. That was it. Most of Judah's family.
Nice size.
A couple friends of mine from Germany, a couple friends of Judah's from Germany, and that was it. We had literally like 40 people there in total. And they all brought food, and we brought some food as well, and we just enjoyed ourselves. That was it. There was no and Judith said, yeah, you know what, my father-in-law, or my father-in-law, so Judith's father, when my brothers got married, there was this whole big thing. He paid, he bought this big band and whatever, and one of the girls wanted to, get married in a pink Cadillac, and he was like, I'll pay for that, whatever. And you sit there and you go, why?
Exactly.
Why? I would feel really stupid, ridiculous, driving up in a pink Cadillac, because that's not me. I don't have a pink Cadillac. I don't know how to fucking drive. So I'm not going to drive in a pink Cadillac. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, for them, that was important.
So it's just everybody comes, they have a good time, they dance, we drink, we talk, we eat, but it goes home.
Yeah, my thing is a cost benefit. It's like, if you're going to spend that kind of money on a single fucking day, take that money and use it for your future or the beginning of your marriage, rather than wasting it all in one day.
Yeah.
Some of these people spend $50,000 for a wedding.
My sister did that. She spent thousands and thousands and
That's
thousands.
crazy talk.
But she got a lot of it back from the whole. But it's like, why do you have to then put people under pressure that they have to give $100, $200?
Yeah.
A person to the wedding. What the fuck?
Well, my friend Brian, he really did. He really did it to me. Not only was I the best man at his first wedding, it was a sort of Tim and I were co-best men. But then he gets remarried, and he asked me to be the best man, the only best man at his next wedding, which was out in California where her family is. So we had to, Nikki and I had to buy the tickets out there, the hotel. It cost so much for us just to go out there and be the best man for 3 days. But my speech was fucking great. I had people coming up to me saying, that was the best speech the best wedding speech I have ever heard. I'm like, thank you.
That's awesome.
So, that part of it was worth it. This kind of stuff really gets on my... I don't know how to feel about this. Look at this. There's 3 of them, 6 of them. What am I supposed to do for you? Do you know how many of these I see on a regular basis?
Really?
What am I supposed to do?
Well, in Berlin, they have the guys. It's on the subway.
Mm-hmm.
You're on the subway, and you're on the subway because you can't actually go anywhere. You're stuck on that subway car. And the guy comes in, he goes, "Excuse me for the disturbance."
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah.
But I'm here, and I have a really, I'm homeless, and I'm selling this magazine, and even if you don't want to buy the magazine, and you get the whole, tear sack. It's like pressing the, and you go, come on, man.
But, there's time, I legitimately believe these people are trying to do anything they can to survive, but after a while it just becomes too much.
Yeah.
Or at least, like, when I'm stopped at a light and you're walking up to my car with these... I don't know. Maybe we should just give everything, right? Like, just give. Just give it. Like, if they need it, just give it. Should that be the attitude?
Maybe one of these days somebody will give to us. I don't know.
Yeah, well, exactly. You did that once, didn't you? Didn't you take some homeless guy out to eat at some point? I think I remember that as a story. Yeah. Human beings, for God's sakes. Like, I mean, I look at my brother and how he was literally homeless for a time. So you understand how somebody could have a family but just be so lost they could end up that way. Like, it can happen very easily. It doesn't mean everybody's crazy or fucked up or evil or, you know, it just happens. It can happen.
Yeah. And there's always a stigma and a shame associated with that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we had a guy back in Vineland when I was a kid. His name, everybody called him Big Red. And he was just always out there on Landis Avenue. And one day, you see this article in the paper where, you know, they had actually finally convinced him to come in. And it turned out the fucking guy was a millionaire. He was in Vietnam. You know, he was just fucking shell-shocked PTSD, ended up on the streets and had been there for years, refusing help from anybody. Big Red. I remember one time at the old building where my school used to be, this guy named Eddie, he was homeless. You know, I used to talk to him, so he would always hit me up for shit. And I came out once, it was for Thanksgiving break, and he's like, I'm really hungry. Like, he would say shit like, I got stomach cancer, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't have any money on me. I was like, dude, I got a pumpkin pie here. I have pie. Like, knock yourself out. You can have my pie. And he goes, oh, no, I can't eat the... Like, he gave me some reason why he couldn't eat the pie. And I'm like, dude, if you're fucking starving, then you're going to eat anything, no matter what. You're going to be choosy about the fact that it's a pie? I think he said, like, I have stomach cancer. I can't eat the pie. Maybe he was telling the truth. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know either, because I also had this similar situation where I had this. I came out and I had these like root vegetables and fruit and whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was going to be to a homeless girl, and she was like, "No, I can't do that. I can't take that." Like, what do you mean? Like, somebody offered me fruit. I was sitting there chilling out. And I was like, dude, I'm hungry. I'm supposed to offer me fruit. I'm like, motherfucker, take that shit.
Whatever it is. If I'm starving, yeah, exactly.
It's not the money. I have no idea.
Yeah. I do know that nobody should be fucking poor in this world. Like, we have enough to at least feed and clothe and house everybody. Like, we do actually have enough, whether it's distributed correctly.
We do have enough.
We do have enough.
Nobody should be poor in this world. No.
I mean, even when they talk about, like, energy, you know, the sun puts out every second more energy than we've used since the history of electricity in human history. So it's not like the energy's not there. It's just a question of harnessing it. Like, it's there. It's available to us. And most people will argue that Tesla did invent free energy, and that's why they killed his reputation and he died poor, and they stole all of his work, because he was like, no, we can have energy moving through the air invisibly for free. And they were like, fuck that. How are we going to charge the people?
We're going to make cash, bro.
Yeah. It's like, fuck you.
You know, sometimes that's what you need.
I get it. Alright, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed just chilling out with you.
You know what? I'll be back, like I said, I'll be back with my wife in...
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
I'll be back with my wife with Judith in...
February.
In February?
Perfect.
And we'll do it then.
Nice. Yeah.
Have a nice meal or something like that together.
Thanks.
Nice.
I'm more in the mood for pasta tonight, but we got chicken.
Yeah,
I'm feeling pasta.
I'm feeling pasta too. Like I'm like, cause once you get those that taste of carbs in you,
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Because we had the pancakes
and the wine, everything like that. It's like.
Yeah. True. These people don't give a fuck. That's why what?
That's why I'm having pasta tonight. As soon as I get home, I'm going to make some pasta.
That sounds good. Maybe I'll make pasta with my chicken and potatoes.
Yeah.
Okay, so where specifically do I drop you?
Right over here.
Okay.
Perfectly fine.
All right.
And then I'll get out and sort of walk across the thing.
All right.
Okay.
This
Well,
is
thank
awesome.
you very much, man.
Thank you, man.
All right,
It's
get
good
home
talking.
safely, okay?
Always. You too.
I'll definitely give you a call when I get back in February. Right?
Yeah, be in touch, okay?
Bye-bye.
Give my love to your parents.
I will. I have everything. Okay.
Well, there you have it, folks. Christopher Forlini. Can you fucking believe it? 18 years ago. 18 years ago. And I just dropped him off where he will fly back to Germany. And I will drive back to Roseland, New Jersey. And you... Thank you for listening to the Opus Marcus podcast.
Let's be real. None of this is real.
What's your advice for people in life?
My advice is to stay strong, be helpful, be smart, be brave, be powerful, be kind, and be loving to everyone, even your pets.
People are like, oh, wouldn't you get lonely when all your loved one dies? Like, no, you get new loved ones.
You know, we really don't know what's in store for us. We really don't know.
Well, would you want to know?
Well, no.
No.
Let's say something bad happened to you. Move on. It already happened. Just move on to the better things in life.
I hope it's really not just us. Right. And everyone else is like, self-created eternal hell. No. Every waking moment is a joyous experience of growth and opportunity. I find myself totally spiritual-centered and at peace with the balance between me and the rest of the universe.
What a heck of time!
After all that, they won the game.